Hello and welcome to Fin Business. We have a very special guest with us. His name is Swapnendu Mohanty and he works with Monetary Authority of Singapore. Swapnendu, thank you so much for talking to Fin Business.
Thanks for having me.
I would like to have your perception and perspective on the regulatory environment specifically into Singapore right now. So if you look at Asia now, the new fintechs are emerging, the banks are also changing themselves, but the one big challenge is the regulation. What Singapore has done specifically to allow fintechs to reach to a next level, because Singapore is one of the example for the fintechs in Asia to grow.
I think historically Singapore, being a financial center hub, policy making has been the core strength of the country, and we just use that same principle of policy making and apply that to the fintech space, keeping in mind that the whole process of financial services are going to change. So what are the most safe, sound policies which require this to grow?
Right.
Is primarily our focus. Now that means that some of the existing status quo policies will go through some change. And how do you do that? I think if you look policy making, they already tend to lag a few years behind the actual change.
Right.
But now the things are different. Now you have technology moving very fast, but the policy making cannot be far behind. So how do you do it together and bring the whole journey almost head to head? And that's the difference Singapore brings in terms of policy through experimentation with technology together.
Okay, so according to your experience, according to your observation, what are the key 1, 2, 3 points which you think the regulators from Asia should adopt to accelerate the fintechs?
Absolutely. I think there are three things which are in my mind. Allow fintech to scale using cloud, clear cloud policies, allow data to be shared in a thoughtful way, the data residency policy. And third will be more fundamental is how do you allow sectors, core infrastructure, the public utilities, the core systems to be more openly architected so they can connect and talk to each other. So open architecture policy becomes the third leg when we bring it together.
Okay, but there are many reservations for the open architecture policy from different countries. So for example, Asia is still looking at it, but USA and many other countries are also conservative about the new regulations. So so what is the how to maintain that balance there?
I think that's why in the Singapore open architecture policy is different from the US and UK or open mandate. We looked at more organically developing that shift, where the banks naturally are interested to do it, where the health sector is interested naturally to do it. So they see an economic value in doing it. If you can craft a narrative around true economic value out of open banking, I think there's no need for policy mandate, but you need a policy incentive to shift to that direction.
Could you share any experience or case study or user case study?
It's already happening in Singapore. DBS has 180 open apps. Our OCBC has a lot of apps here. Citibank, global bank, but in Singapore, they're the first one to put 60 odd apps on public domain where people can connect back to them. But there's still a journey they're going through. And hopefully, we will get to a place where it's become a marketplace of different APIs, and hopefully that brings more partnership with fintech and the bank together, but in a much more safe and sound way, where we don't want banks to be in a disadvantageous position with the fintech, because we need to have level playing parity. So hopefully that kind of solves that anxiety.
Right. So Singapore has this sandbox, Bahrain has this sandbox, and there are many countries are coming with this sandbox. So if we look at holistic view, what are the sandboxes the regulators from all over the world should bring? What are the?
I think that they always have to look at sandbox from a policy standpoint. Is the experiment inside the sandbox is questioning or improving the policy? If the sandbox are just testing tech products, I don't think you get much value.
Right.
What seems to be the trend now? As the regulators have started thinking about testing ideas which questions the prevailing policy, and that perhaps has more impactful impact than what we see today.
Okay, I will also take your views on the security. That is one of the major concern in a big area. So being a regulator, and Singapore is one of the example for a lot of fintechs and innovation companies those are operating in that space. What are the security measures that you have taken?
We have security for us is a non-negotiable contract, which is part of the design, part of the requirement. It's not an afterthought. It has to go hand to hand, and we don't make a big deal out of it because this is already part of our architecture. It doesn't have to have an extra thinking. It is a hygiene. It is a must-do, non-negotiable. So the architecture, the consideration, and at the scale which technology is moving, at the data, I don't think physical processes around controlling digital asset is the right way. Technical solutions, inbuilt solutions is what the future is all about.
Okay. So in next 2 to 3 years, my last question to you is: in next 2 to 3 years, what are the major changes that you specifically see into fintech and innovation? There are also changes, lot of changes happening in blockchain. One point on that as well.
I think more public utilities will come. It's a big trend. Will support a much broader connectivity. Blockchain will take some of its fundamental infrastructure pervasive way to spread across. A lot of data simplification will happen because data will become a big part of the policy discussion. AI will be the ultimate wrapper around the whole consumer experience.
Okay, thank you so much.
Thank you.
Swapnendra,
Thanks for having me.